going to get a lot of passing trade from people going to watch the rugby. So I hope you're listening as well. So I just want to make a few short points, really, and a call to action from everybody here. I know that you guys really want to do stuff. So there are 5 things that I want to mention today. The first is the real need to keep our fossil fuels in the ground and not to exploit them anymore across the world. The second is to talk to you about restoring our habitats, in particular our soils and our forests. The third one is to talk to you about the real need for marine conservation and valuing our seas and their ability to store carbon. The fourth is about the real need to change our system, our infrastructure in particular, so that we can all change our habits. And the fifth one is a theme that runs right through the whole thing, which is about putting equality and solidarity right at the centre of the other actions. So just really briefly, because I've only been given 4 minutes and I promised Alice I'd stick to it, keeping the fossil fuels in the ground. So here in Wales we've already resolved that we will not exploit any more fossil fuels in Wales. We have a ban on oil and gas exploration, we have a ban on coal extraction, we have a ban on fracking. We need people to put pressure on the UK government to make sure that the UK as a whole does that and then provides leadership to the world. And they need to do that in a couple of ways, not least to ramp up the infrastructure in renewables and the electricity grids that go with it. So this is a right now problem. They need to plan out the national grid, which is privatised. Take it back into public ownership would be our request. But plan it out, make sure that the renewables that we can connect here in Wales, because we have an abundance of resource, can go straight into that grid and come off the ridiculous energy market system that we have now that tags all of the renewables we keep here in Wales to the marginal price of gas, which is obviously a hangover of the Thatcher times when we squandered North Sea gas and instead of putting it into a sovereign wealth fund as they did in the Scandinavian countries. And the irony of that is the Scandinavian countries are the ones who are running the so-called privatised energy companies that currently run our grid. So they're the Norwegian and Scandinavian, French and German state-owned companies. So the other thing I'm really pleased to say is that we have now agreed to start a state-owned renewable energy company here in Wales. We've already done that and we'll be starting the first big wind generating plant next year soon. So wish I'd done it 20 years ago, but as I always say, the next best time is now. The last thing I want to ask you all to do is to write to your councils, write to the Welsh Government, write to the UK Government, and ask them to make sure that public sector pensions are de-invested from fossil fuels. Because the way to do this is to starve those companies of investment funds, and the pension funds are the best way to do it. And if you have a private pension fund, make sure you take part in the AGM, write to that pension fund and say, please disinvest from fossil fuels. Starve them of investment. So that's the first one. On the soils and forests, I'm going off to CoP15 in December. That's the biodiversity COP. That one we really can make a difference in. So that's the protecting 30% of the land and seas by 2030. So only 8 years to go. So we need to get those targets right across the world, and we need to get the investment into them. Here in Wales, we're restoring our peatlands, just triple the investment in that, and we're restoring our seagrass meadows and our salt marshes. But we need capital investment to do that, so we need the UK government not to put an austerity budget once more on us, but actually adopt some sensible Keynesian economics for once, and actually invest in our planet. So, get writing people and make sure they do that. The next one is investing in our seas, so making sure that our marine conservation zones actually work, that they protect the right things, that they allow our fisher folk to sustainably fish, that they stop things like bottom trawling and really destructive things, and that we restore our seagrass habitat. So we're putting a lot of money into that in Wales, and we're putting a lot of money as well into our salt marshes. Some of you will know the Cum Ivy one down here on Gower. Please go and see it. It's really great to see it coming back to life. We also, though, need to make sure that the rivers that pour into our seas are clean and properly managed. So we've just put a whole series of investments into our nutrient management boards, and we're about to implement the agricultural pollution regulations. Please write in and make sure that we hold to that we actually implement them, because they're really important to make sure the rivers that flow into our seas are not killing our seagrass meadows. The last one is, please hold fast with us while we change the habits of our infrastructure. So you'll know we've done a roads review, you know that we're lowering the speed limits right across Wales, you know that we're changing the way that we do our economic development. So it's not build a road in a shed and they will come. It's actually about placemaking and making sure that people can live and work in the communities that they live and work in. So that's about the green jobs and the green investment. It's about growing the right forests and the right timber to make our homes out of sustainable structures, so wood obviously, and sustainable steel and concrete, which we have huge research monies going into at our universities. So the real message here today is these things are possible if the UK government changes its investment strategy and we get some real people power to force them to do that. So support our universities to put that research into place so that we can get the future we want and the green jobs we want. And therefore, I think I'm over my time now. Could go on for another 20 minutes. So thank you very much. Get those pens in action, people. Cheers.